Hi Vernon Hills parents, this is Mr. Wolf and thank you for watching this videocast. I'm really excited to meet many of you at open house on Tuesday night, but since they gave me limited time to talk to you, I thought I'd make this video to share more about me and the classes I teach at Vernon Hills High School. The first place I'd like to direct you to is my webpage. You'll find this very useful throughout the school year. All you have to do is go to www.wolfbioedu.org and it'll take you to our homepage. On this homepage you can find my contact information and the various social media platforms that I use throughout the school year. My email is chris.wolf@d128.org, and feel free to email me if you have any questions about your student or anything that's going on in class. That's probably the best way to reach me. You can also leave me a voicemail by calling my phone number, but this doesn't really ring any phones in my room. It just leaves me a voicemail, and I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours. If you're on Twitter, you can follow me at wolfbioedu, where I often post pictures of different activities that we're doing in class. Another page that I'd like to direct you to is my Biology Honors page. On this page, you'll find many different resources that I've given to your students. I have an assignment folder for any electronic documents that I use in class, a lecture note folder where I share any of the Google slide presentations that I use for lecture notes in class, a test retake form where students can sign up for test retakes. We'll talk more about this when I go over the expectations, and an answer key folder where I post answer keys to homework assignments and other review guides I might give your students. If you click on this daily objectives slide, it'll take you to a slide deck where I post the biology honors business, what we did during the class that day, the learning targets and skills that we covered, and the homework that I assigned that night. This is a daily updated document that I show your students every single day. Another resource that you might be interested in is the calendar that I use. On this calendar, I post biology honors assignments where I will post homework assignments and test dates, Google Classroom due dates where students turn in electronic documents to me through Google Classroom. If you want to add these calendars to your own personal Google Calendar, all you have to do is click the plus button in the bottom right-hand corner. Now a little bit more on Google Classroom. Google Classroom is an online management system where I can assign electronic documents to your students and they can turn those documents back into me. It's a great product to use at school because they all have Google accounts and this works seamlessly with their Google Drives. The only problem with it is that parents don't really have access to Google Classroom. But what you have the opportunity to sign up for is what are called Classroom Summaries for Guardians. If you'd like to see a weekly summary of what's going on in Google Classroom, all I have to do is enter your email address and you'll receive an email weekly about what's going on. Now I don't want to sign you up for this if you don't want to, so I'll be sending out an email shortly asking if you would like to receive these weekly summaries or if you would like to opt out. Look for that email coming soon. Another resource that you will find helpful on my website is the helpful links and documents. On this page I have many resources for both you and the students. The first thing I'd like to point you to is classroom expectations. I've already gone over these classroom expectations with your child, but I'd like to point a few things out to you. If you look under the 4 keys to success in our class and click on the second one, work smarter, not harder, I found this document from a fellow biology teacher about learning management. It comes from a book I read over this summer called Making It Stick. I think a big key to success in high school is to not just work harder in class, but actually work smarter. And this document is all about time management and study skills, which will help your student be more successful not only in my class, but at Vernon Hills in general. Another part I'd like to point out to you is how your child will be evaluated in my class. You can check out the online student handbook for the grading scale, which I follow a 90, 80, 70, 60 basic grading scale. What I would like to point out to you, if this is your first child going through Vernon Hills High School, is that final exams are worth up to 20% of the semester grade, which means everything that we do throughout the school year is worth 80% of their grade, and that final exam is worth a whole 20%. Another thing I'd like to point out to you is that how I weight grades in my class. Assessments, like major unit tests and big quizzes, are worth 50%. Labs and projects are worth 45%, and homework and in-class assignments are only worth 5%. You will also notice on the online gradebook that I will be putting in formative assessments, which are basically small quizzes. But these are not worth any points towards the student's grade. I basically put these up there so you can see how your child is doing in class before they have their big major test at the end of the unit. Another part of the evaluation process I'd like to point out to you is the retake policy. Students receiving a D or F on a unit test are expected to retake those tests. And the retake is usually a completely new test, which means that old grade will be replaced by the retake grade. Now, students with a grade of A through C do have the opportunity to retake tests at my discretion. We will talk more about test retakes in class once we have our first major assessment, which will be coming up in a few weeks. I would like to point out how I use Remind to keep in contact with students. I've noticed that students don't often check their emails, so by using Remind, I'm able to send text messages to students to their cell phones about classroom updates and announcements. The great thing about using Remind is that it's not only a free service, it's also an anonymous service. I do not know your child's cell phone number and your child does not know mine, but I am able to send text messages to them about certain updates and announcements that might be going on in class. Now, if you have a text message plan that you don't want to exceed a certain number, you might want to talk to your child about signing up for Remind. Another policy I'd like to bring to your attention is the Chromebook policy. I do use Chromebooks in class almost daily, so it's extremely important that your child brings their Chromebook to class charged and ready to go every day that they're at school. And I have set up consequences for not having the Chromebook, so hopefully we don't have to encounter any of these throughout the school year. The last thing I'd like to point out to you is the classroom materials that your students need. Hopefully I've already brought some of these things into class. I think one of the most important things on this list, though, is a spiral notebook or notebook paper. Even though I'm really big into using technology in class, I still try to get my students to take handwritten notes. I strongly feel that communication between home and school is important for making this a very successful school year. So if you have any questions about these expectations, please feel free to contact me. Now going back to my website, if you click on this document here, Course Content, it'll take you to the syllabus of what we're covering throughout the school year. You'll notice that our syllabus does not go in chapter order. We've actually realigned our biology honors curriculum to fit the next generation science standards. So if you look at the chapter sections, it might not make sense. So what I recommend you do is look at the concepts and topics to kind of understand what's going on throughout the school year. Now the rest of this information on this website is really here to help your students. I've put some links to some of the web applications that we use in class like Edpuzzle and Socrative. I've also put some other helpful links like TED Talks. Now a real helpful resource for your child is this BozemanScience.com link. This website was put together by Paul Anderson, who is a former AP biology teacher from Montana. And he's made several videos on different topics that might help your students out throughout the school year. And now the last place I'd like to take you on my website is the About page. On this About page, you'll find my teaching experience. I've been teaching at Vernon Hills for 11 years. You'll also find my extracurricular activities I'm involved in. I'm an assistant girls cross country coach and a technology coach here at Vernon Hills. I'm also level 1 and 2 Google certified, and I've also been a Nearpod certified educator. I'm also part of the Nearpod Pioneer program, where I give professional development to other teachers on how to use Nearpod. Nearpod is one of the technologies that we use in class on your students' Chromebooks. You can also see here that I went to the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where I majored in teaching of biology and had a minor in secondary education. I also have my master's from the Concordia University of Chicago in curriculum and instruction. I have also presented at some major conferences. If you'd like to take a look at my presentations, you can find them here under my professional presentations section. And finally, I'd like to talk about one of the most important things to me, and that is my family. My wife, Lisa, is a first grade teacher at Butterfield Elementary School in Libertyville, and I have 2 daughters, Kylie and Tessa. Kylie is 3 years old and Tessa is 1. I hope you've enjoyed this visit to my webpage and this short little video cast. I would like to point out that this is something very similar to what your students experience in my classroom. In my class, I use what's called a blended teaching model, where sometimes the assignment for your student when they come home is actually to watch a video and maybe answer some questions. The idea of this is that some of the content is learned at home, so we actually do activities and have further discussion the next day in class. I have found this is a great way to actually get more activities and labs done in class. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you at Open House.